So if you remember from last episode, at the end of the episode, Yagiuda shot Sanda. So we're picking up from there. Yagiuda is like, damn, who knew the latest Santa would turn out to be a kid? But then Santa is like, man, why you shoot me? As I'm about to say some cool shit. And then he throws Yagiuda through a storage shed. Santa is like, oh shit, old man, are you okay? I don't know my own strength yet. And he goes to check to see if he's okay. But Yagiuda upkicks him and then grapples with Santa and is like, does this mark ring any bells? Referring to his holly leaves. Santa is like, nope, never seen him before. And hey, why don't we all just calm down? You know, just calm down. Just fucking calm down. And then he smashes Yagiuda through the earth.
Good job calming down, Santa.
But Yagiuda kicks him in the nuts, and he's like, you may be Santa, but you got all the dude parts. And then Sanda thinks that the first thing he did when he turned into Santa was check downstairs. And he's like, damn, dude, I got an adult ding-a-ling. And then he's like, well, let's just pretend I never saw that.
He's like, the day I became Santa, the very first thing I did was check my crotch, and I'm packing, dude. And I was like, ugh.
Yeah, it's like a baby's arm holding an apple. It was weird.
Yeah, you didn't need to say that. Like a coiled snake.
It cuts back, and Yagiuda goes to punch Santa, but he catches it. But Santa is like, dude, am I a danger to everyone? I have all these powers, and I don't know how to use them. And I even have an adult wiener. Is Santa really a danger to society? And that's why you're here to capture me? Dude, I'm freaking out. You gotta tell me. Yagiuda spits in his face and is like, you aren't a danger to society. Don't get so full of yourself, you old man. And the only problem is you're Santa Claus. And then he hits him in the head with a barbell and knocks him out. Yagiuda is like, damn, I'm beat. I guess I should have introduced myself, and then lights up a smoke and says he's Yagiuda from the St. Nick Pursuit Unit, and says a being that gives kids hopes and dreams doesn't have a place in this country anymore. Preordained education, marriages, what the country needs is kids who will lose hope in this country that's marching to the grave, and to do as they're told as they live out their preordained lives. And if a supposed legendary being like Santa Claus showed up, then it would have an effect on the children. And Santa is something that can't be allowed to exist in this era. Amaya and Fuyumura are standing outside and are like, man, sure hope Santa's doing okay. Then Santa starts ho-ho-hoing and takes off his underwear. Then is like, man, I thought you were going to say past Santa killed people or something. But this is all this is about? He continues and says, he's fucking jacked. And he's fucking packing. And he looks like he can kill you if he looks at you wrong. And he says his own appearance made him doubt himself to the point where he didn't want to look in the mirror. But you're telling me Santa brings dreams and hopes, and it's always been that way? Then that means I can fight for the kids with my head held high. And he deploys his sword feet while he's naked, and also deploys his wiener, probably.
Dude, in the next scene where he's like walking sideways, like penguin walking with the fucking sword feet, it did make me laugh really fucking hard. Because, like, could you imagine you're like on the side of the wall and you're like, fuck, dude, this Santa's going crazy. He's got sword for feet. And then he turns around and looks, and he's just like, ding, 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 ding. And you're like, fuck, dude, he's coming straight for me. It was great. We'll get there in just a moment.
Yeah, like if you've ever seen anyone like try to ski for the first time, just imagine that, but they have no clothes on and their wiener's hanging out.
Yeah, and they're packing.
Amaya and Fuyumura are like, man, I wonder what's going on in there. Should we help? And Amaya is like, nah, we should probably just stay here. And then naked Santa Claus kicks Yagiuda through the remainder of the shed, but Yagiuda is able to discharge his firearm. Cuts to the other kids getting ready for the funeral, and one is like, was that a gunshot? And another is like, nah, that's crazy. Then it cuts to Fuyumura looking at naked Santa's giant hog, and then cuts to her and Ono looking at a picture of the statue of David. And Ono is like, do you think this is what naked dudes look like? And Fuyumura is doing the cover my eyes, just kidding, peek through my fingers pose. Fuyumura is like, oh no, I'm surprised you have this book. And she said, when the adults say not to do something, it makes you want to do it more. And it's the same as banning kissing before marriage, because it will give you cavities. And then I have a note here that says maybe that's the reason why Amiya told Fuyumura and Sanda to kiss when he kidnapped them, because kissing is illegal until you're married.
That's a really good observation, Greg. I didn't even think about that.
Because now it kind of makes sense how crazy Amiya was back then. So now it's, when we first watched it, we're like, dude, this guy's fucking nuts. But now it's like so much has been taken away from society that something like kissing is now, no one ever sees it. There's no like PDA or anything like that.
Yeah.
Ono says, in the old days, it was okay for young people to kiss someone they liked. And Fuyumura is like, oh shit, Ono, do you want to kiss someone? And Ono is like, don't you want to see what it's like? And Fuyumura is like, I never even thought about it. Fuyumura thinks her molars already hurt when she clenches her teeth too tight. So if both her and Ono have cavities already, then ... And Ono goes in for the kiss, but Fuyumura turns away and thinks that all we kids really have is myths. And it cuts back to naked Santa, and she's like, they were supposed to be myths, but now we have Santa Claus, adult nude bodies, the warmth of someone else, as she's covering Amiya's eyes from Santa's giant wiener as she just stands there staring at it, and she thinks that she didn't think all of those things really existed.
The way you keep saying giant wiener, this is a kid's show. By the way,
should I say coiled wiener?
No.
Okay.
All right.
Santa is like, for Fuyumura's smile, as he's naked flopping his wiener around, for all the kids, and he flops it around again. And Tojima, Kamen Rider, punches a tree, but then Yagi Uda shoots a hole through his shoulder, and he's like, ouch, and then says there's no way he's going to let himself be captured. And then he naked kicks the tree in half, and Fuyumura says that ever since she met Santa, all those myths about wieners have been coming true.
What?
Cuts to Ono's funeral procession, and Santa is like, oh shit, it's starting. And then Yagi Uda kicks him in the face, and they continue their fight as the kids are singing the school anthem as Fuyumura watches that giant wiener. Yagi Uda runs, and he's like, holy shit, no one said this guy was fucking jacked and unkillable. I'm outclassed. But Santa pursues and says he's seen him in his kid form, so he can't allow him to get away. And Yagi Uda runs out of bullets. Yagi Uda is like, oh, so you're doing this for the kids that don't believe in you? Well, I'm doing this for the money, as Oshibu is continuing the funeral.
Yeah. I'm glad we don't have the silhouette of the wiener. I think this episode
it would be like dragging across the roof of the school.
Why did he take off his underwear in the first place? You like psychotic shit.
Santa is like, let the kids decide what they believe or not. As Oshibu is saying that in order to survive this declining birth rate, ultra-aging society, we must dispense of all frivolities, like wieners. Yagi Uda
100%.
is like, oh yeah? Well, here's a truth bomb from a former kid. When you grow up, everything you believed as a kid is pointless. Santa jumps in the air and unleashes his giant donger, then punches through the roof of the auditorium, smashing Ono's memorial, exposing his naked adult body to the entire student
Greg,
body.
are you just seeing how much dick you could talk about in one episode?
No, this all literally happened. You have screenshots.
It all happened. I know. I watched this episode. But the description of what you're saying is all right. Let's get it. Let's get this bread. Thank you.
Fuyumura is like, oh fuck, and remembers Ono saying that they might not be allowed to look at the real thing, but looking at this statue of David makes the adult nude body beautiful, doesn't it? Fuyumura is like, nah man, if a bare exposed giant adult crotch appeared in front of me in real life, I'd be speechless. But then it cuts back to Oshibu, and he's like, oh shit, he's naked in front of the kids. But if the St. Nick Pursuit Unit fought him in front of the kids, it would cause trauma. So he just lets him stand there with his wiener out in front of all the kids.
I mean, Greg's right. Greg's exactly right.
Santa
stands
Ono's picture back up, and he's like, well, since I'm here, I guess I'll say what I came to say. Ono, I don't really know you, and I don't know what you're up to. But wherever you are, I hope you're doing well. And I'll find you. And all the kids are like, holy shit, God is attending Ono's funeral. Cuts to later, and all the boys are like, holy shit, Sanda, did you see Godpa? And Sanda is like, oh yeah, no, I wasn't there yesterday. Damn, that sucks. I didn't see his giant donger. And Sanda thinks he's heard it 100 times today, and they're talking about him and his dog.
They are! There's so much dick in this episode. It's crazy. It's so crazy. We went from like talking about wieners to then like a serious discussion about AI and like the implications to more wiener. Yeah.
The kids tell him what happened, and they said that he disappeared into thin air, as it shows Fuyumura throwing a smoke bomb. Sanda and Fuyumura are sitting in class, and he's like, thanks for the save. I didn't know it would blow up like this. And ripped ass butt naked adult showing in front of kids. And Sanda is like, fuck, I know, I'm embarrassed as shit. Fuyumura is like, Sanda, I wanted to thank you. And he's like, Fuyumura seems to be that type that opens up once she trusts someone. And then Amiya is like, hey, isn't it crazy all the stuff that's happening? Crazy stuff.
Wild.
Cuts to Yagi Uda on the phone, getting yelled at for letting Santa escape. And he's like, cool, whatever. What? I can't hear you. Bad signal. And he hangs up. And he's like, I know better than anyone that big ass ripped Santa got away. Kids are now selling stuffed naked Santa plushies for 700 yen. And the kids are all talking about Santa. And Sanda is running through the halls, scared that everyone believes he's some sort of god. Amiya's like, well, you did show everyone your giant Santa flopper. And Sanda is like, I did something wrong. I gotta make it right. And he walks off in a daze. It's evening now, and Sanda is going to clean the blackboard of all the messages the kids wrote to Santa. But Fuyumura rolls up and is like, hey, you good? And he's like, fuck yeah, I'm great. But she's like, oh, you're too short to erase this. And she helps him. And he's like, nah, I'm not too short. And he thinks to himself that when he's around Fuyumura, it feels like he's allowed to be his 14-year-old self. Fuyumura bends down and gives Sanda a hug and says thanks again. And he literally crashed Ono's funeral for her. And she's like, damn, you're slender. And he's like, hey, look who's talking. And she's like, we really are just kids inside. And he's like, yep, kids. And she's like, that's why I gotta do this. And puts a red jacket on him and turns him into Santa. And she says she likes Sanda like this. And Sanda thinks to himself, this is exactly what he was afraid of.
Yeah, this is super weird. I understand it now because she wanted a hug from an adult because a lot of the kids don't have parental interactions and like any sort of companionship with an elderly figure that like cares for them. All it is just like teaching the next generation, right? This is, I get it. But also, this situation it's just weird.
It is weird, and there are a lot of other weird situations that happen, and like it does get explained, and that's what I mean. Like I think they do a really good job in terms of like world building and like pulling you into this weird fucked up world that not even like everybody lives in. Everyone lives in this like shit ass world where they basically, I don't want to say grooming, but you know, they're like restricting kids and making them grow up a certain way specifically for like the country's sake. And this is, you know, kind of what happens if you pretty much like try to stifle humanity and curiosity and letting people grow up. This is what you're left with. This and, you know, kids killing adults and everyone high fives them and stuff and weird shit like that. But Santa plays it off and he's like, oh, damn, you're slick with your hidden red jacket. Well, I can be your emotional support, Santa, anytime. Ho, 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 ho. I'm Santa. Ho, ho.
Yeah.
But Fuyumura hugs him again and says she misses Ono. And Santa thinks that being relied on by children and living up to an adult's obligations is really hard when in front of Fuyumura. And he can't think those crazy thoughts. Fuyumura is like, oh, damn, sorry, Santa, that was rude. And then goes and locks the door and is like, okay, good, all better. I want another bear hug. And Sanda thinks that how often does Fuyumura switch from being a child to an adult? And same with me. But Fuyumura is like, good hug. Okay, it's your turn. They sit down and Fuyumura is like, damn, this pressure must be killing you, huh? And Sanda thinks, how many more times going back and forth before he becomes Santa inside and out? Then Santa is like, you got some chalk on your cheek. And she's like, wipe that shit off for me with your giant Santa donger. And he does. Cuts to some girls walking in the halls with Santa plushies. And we have a new character. Nico Kazuo is like, nah, that's just an old guy. But the real thing was more stimulating. And she says the same goes for her shit-ass fiancé.
Yeah, this episode's super weird.
And then, I have a note here that says more story elements, and I'm feeling like this story is going to get even darker the farther we go, and it does. I predicted it myself. I can confirm my own note.
One of the things that, as a kid, like, I remember the first time, like, getting into any sort of adult nature. Like, obviously, you have to be 18 to buy tobacco products. You got to be 21 to buy alcohol.
I mean, back then. Now you got to be 21 for both.
Oh, that's right. Holy shit, I'm that old.
Yep.
Fuck me. Anyways, but, like, the internet is so readily available for most of these things. All you have to do is click a box that says you're 18 or 21. A prime example being any sort of adult material website. You don't have to, like...
It depends on which state now.
Yes, but it's easy to get around these things with, like, proxies and VPNs. But what I'm saying is, the accessibility pre-internet is a lot harder. Like, you had to either go find these magazines or steal or something like that.
Or you turn to, like, channel 84 and try to stare through the static.
Right. There was that as well, which is insane.
Did you do that?
Yeah, of course.
No, I think every kid
I wanted to see what a boob was. But, like, in this world that is Sanda, they're back to that. The world that we grew up in, where it is really strange. But, like, this girl is seeing an adult male for the first time, and she's like, wow, that looks cool. I'm interested in that rather than the people around my age group. Because, you know, but it is weird. It is very weird. But the shelter of these kids, in this sense, it's all fucked up, man. It's all fucked up. We live in a very fucked up world.
Like, it's weird for us, but I don't think it's weird for them in their world, because these kids don't even interact with adults besides, like, the teacher. They've never even, like, they don't really interact with any of the other adults. And then, like, their homeroom teacher is, like, I don't know, like a middle-aged lady, I think. But then the only other teacher that we saw was in episode 1, I think. And it was just like a super old dude when they were making the comment, like, in the past, the young were supposed to respect the old, but now the old respect the young. So we've only seen 2 instances of teachers. I guess you can say Oshibu is one too, but he's also like a super old ass dude too. So, I mean, these kids haven't even seen like a normal, fully clothed adult. So when you have a naked, jacked ass Santa adult crash your school, of course everyone's going to like find it interesting, because it's like, you know, the unknown, like no one's seen this before. The kids don't see this. You can't even look at like a history book in the Statue of David. Even that's like locked off. Yeah, I mean, if you apply this to our now, it's weird as fuck. But if you apply it to their world, like it does make sense with what the kids are going through.
It's hard. And as an adult that knows better and has been through somewhat of the world, you definitely feel the awkwardness. But I feel like as a 14-year-old, if you were watching the show, you'd be like, okay, yeah, I get it.